Now, Politico with another look inside of the dysfunctional Trump White House. Now, in interviews with nearly a dozen White House aides and federal agency staffers, they described a culture of paranoia that has gripped many inside of the White House. So this is fascinating. Now, in these interviews, these staffers describe a litany of suspicions that rival factions in the administration are trying to embarrass them, that civil servants opposed to President Trump are trying to undermine him, and even that a deep state of career military and intelligence officials are out to destroy him. Aides, as Politico explains, are going to great lengths to protect themselves. They're turning off work-issued smartphones and putting them in drawers when they arrive home from work out of fear that they could be used to eavesdrop. They also should unplug their microwaves, by the way. You know, just in case. Kellyanne Conway thinks their microwave is spying on you, so, hey, aides, Trump aides, unplug the microwave. Pro tip. Now, they've even been staying quiet in meetings out of concern that their comments could be leaked to the press by somebody in there. Somebody in the meeting. Now, Politico also explains some of the other lengths that they go to make sure that they're not spied on. Now, as I've reported before, many are using encrypted apps that automatically delete messages once they've been read, or leaving their personal cell phones at home in case their bosses initiate these phone checks that Sean Spicer had reportedly said, or had been reported to have been doing. Now, of course, they were trying to do this to identify leakers on their team. Now, can you imagine just having to do all of that just to make sure that you can retain some of your privacy at work, your private messages? That drives me crazy. Well, they're getting driven crazy. These staffers describe this as an environment of fear that has hamstrung the routine functioning of the executive branch. Again, fascinating. Now, senior advisors are spending much of their time trying to protect turf. Key positions have remained vacant due to a reluctance to hire people deemed insufficiently loyal to Donald Trump, and Trump's ambitious agenda has been eclipsed by headlines surrounding his claim that President Obama tapped his phone lines at Trump Tower during the 2016 election. Again, something that we don't have any proof of. It'd be nice if he could put up or shut up. But it's Trump, and he won't. Now, one senior administration aide, who like most others interviewed for the story, had spoken to Politico on the condition of anonymity. Now, they said the degree of suspicion had created a toxicity that is, quote, unsustainable. Now, what was I saying when some of these previous leaker stories had come out? Unsustainable. Unsustainable. Absolutely. When is it going to fall over? When is this house of cards going to fall in on itself? That's the good question. That's the important question. Now, this administration aide said, quote, people are scared, adding in that the Trump White House has become, quote, a pretty hostile environment to work in. No way. No, hostile environment? What are you talking about? Now, this is what happens when you have an environment run by constant gamesmanship and competition. Remember, this is how some CEOs ran their businesses. Oh, what's the matter? You wanted the White House to run like a business? You want government to run like a business? This is what you get. Careful what you wish for. You just might get it. And it might be as dysfunctional as hell. Now, the whole idea behind this, of course, is maximum competition, right? If you have competition, the best floats to the top. That's the idea. Or it also has the point of making people fucking paranoid of their own team members, and others put their own ambition actually over what actually doing their own fucking job. Just saying. Now, the article also notes that Trump has a history of overseeing what they call pressure cooker organizations rife with suspicion, setting up sophisticated surveillance in part to monitor employees at his properties, including at his campaign headquarters, where some campaign aides suspected their offices were being bugged. So that's interesting. So they're saying, my office is being bugged. They're saying that in the story, and look, Trump has done that to his own employees. And now Trump's out there saying, man, Obama, he's bugged my office. He tapped my phones. What are you going to do? No, he's not tapping anybody's phones. You were tapping other people's phones. Fascinating. Look, it's pretty fucked up, right? Especially considering that they're in the government. They're in the executive branch. They're not supposed to do that. Now, this might work in business, even though it's highly unethical, but that kind of bullshit should not fly in government. Now, into more paranoia. Now, one widespread concern of the Trump White House is that career intelligence operatives are working to undermine the new president through a series of leaks of different classified information. Now, much of the suspicion is directed at the CIA. Now, they believe that the CIA, who sit on the National Security Council, is targeting CIA skeptics, who also sit on the National Security Council. Some of them allege that the CIA was behind the leaks that took down Michael Flynn. Now, and they're saying that the CIA is also pushing for the removal of other staffers that they do not like. Fascinating. They also believe CIA exaggerated security clearance concerns that led to the removal of a top Flynn deputy, Robin Townley, from the NSC. Last week, another top NSC staffer who had drawn opposition from some within the CIA, Intelligence Director Ezra Cohen-Watnick, was told he was also being removed, only to have Trump overrule the decision after advisors Steve Bannon and Jared Kushner intervened. Two people who are familiar with the episode said. Now, some rank-and-file House aides, meanwhile, have become convinced that intelligence agencies may be monitoring their phone calls, emails, and text messages. Those fears intensified, of course, when WikiLeaks released its trove of CIA documents, Vault 7, which does show that the CIA can and knows how to hack into people's iPhones and other messaging devices. So look, there is a little bit of a plausible concern there. Because they're not going to hack you and I. They're going to go and hack people who are powerful. Now, still, more details here. Now, in an interview, one White House aide described in elaborate steps he was taking to shield himself from this supposed CIA spying. He said once he gets home in the evening, he turns off his work phone and stores it in a drawer. Because he said he believes it could be used to listen to him even when it's off. I believe we only can do that with smart TVs, but again, I don't entirely know. Now, if he makes a call during off hours, he uses a separate personal phone in a separate room, where the work device wouldn't be able to pick up his voice as clearly. Wow. So that's what these staffers, that's what these aides are actually doing. Because they're so worried that the CIA, because they're working for Trump, is going to spy in on them. Fascinating. Now, the aide also said that the fact that so much sensitive information from the White House was making its way to the media, a lot like, I don't know, Politico, who's been reporting on this, which is funny, he says has raised suspicions that national security officials are listening in. I'm paranoid, said the aide. Anything significant seems to be on the front page the next day. That's likely because, like you, there might be a lot of people that are just talking to the media. Just saying. They don't trust each other, though. And that's the issue that we're getting here. They don't trust each other. They don't trust their technology. They don't trust the people around them. That's why this is unsustainable. Now, another Republican strategist who's close to the administration, he said he marveled at the amount of sensitivity over phones. Quote, it's always a you never know who's listening kind of thing. It's a general concern that people have over there. Some staffers have even expressed concern about messages that appear on the digital faces of White House landline phones, indicating that calls, in their view, might be monitored. The White House official, of course, said those messages have been the feature of the building's phone system for years. So who knows? They could have been spying on Obama, too. In the phones. It's in the phones. Come on, man. Yet the perception among some staff that monitoring is widespread has engendered an even greater suspicion and anxiety. Quote, we've got strict instructions not to talk to the press, said one White House aide. I assume I would get fired immediately if I did. And yet here you are talking to the press. Ironic. Oops. Wow. Now, one senior aide said that staffers have also become almost obsessed by daily news accounts of palace intrigue and spend hours in the office dissecting them in hopes of deciphering who is dishing and who is trying to hurt whom. Stories of palace intrigue like the one that I am reporting on right now. Again, the irony. I love it. But the thing is, they don't trust anybody. Everyone is suspicious of each other. You can't possibly function in that environment. Now, interestingly, this did not get this way on its own. According to a Republican staffer, this sort of anxiety and distrust, it trickles down from the top. Now, another Republican who was close to the White House said junior level staffers are simply mimicking what they're seeing at the top. Quote, everyone at the top is so suspicious that it trickles down the organizational chart. So everyone has become paranoid and suspicious. Now, look, it's not just the CIA that they're worried about. They're also worried about staffers from the Obama administration who are anti-Trump. Fears grew on Friday. Political reports that Sid Bowditch, a Trump appointee to the Department of Energy who had worked on the campaign, was ousted amid reports that he'd expressed anti-Muslim views and argued that Obama had relatives who were terrorists in Twitter posts from over a year ago. In an interview, Bowditch blamed the disclosure on an anti-Trump department staffer who had went through his background. He called the incident, quote, character assassination, and said that Obama allies were sending a warning shot to Trump loyalists within these agencies. Quote, a lot of these career folks were put in there over the last 8 years. They're Obama supporters. He said, by and large, they hate Trump. Thanks, Obama. My God, man, there's so much paranoia going on here. They're blaming Obama and the CIA for sabotaging them. No, man, you sabotage yourselves. Obama didn't force you to say that his relatives were terrorists. Obama didn't force you to say horrific things about Muslims. You said that. And when it comes out and you get embarrassed, what are you going to do? You end up resigning. You end up getting ousted because of the horrible things that you have said. Still, in order to inoculate themselves, they say staffers at agencies have begun scrubbing their social media accounts for anything that could be perceived as controversial. They are also operating on the assumption that anything they say in the office could be leaked. One agency said that he'd become particularly circumspect in meetings and was taking additional steps to protect himself, such as keeping his office door closed during the day. He has used his off time to catalog his Twitter and Facebook postings of coworkers who he suspects harbor anti-Trump views and could be a threat. See, this is their worldview. Anybody who's not with us, they're a threat. Anybody who harbors any sort of reservations about Donald Trump within the administration, they're the enemy. They're the enemies of Trump. They are a threat to be dealt with, to be protected against. Wow. Now, the aide said, quote, I do think there's a concerted effort to disrupt us. We're professional, we're courteous, but it's a one-way street. The anti-Trump staffers are out to hurt the administration, and you have to handle yourself accordingly. Unsustainable! I've never seen such a level of paranoia in a government office. They literally think President Obama, or former President Obama, is still out to get them. They're out to get them. Oh, Obama's coming for me. He's trying to tap our phones. He's coming after us. He's sending his staffers after us. Dude don't give a fuck. He's out there windsurfing in Hawaii. He don't care. He don't care what you're doing. But see, they have to have someone to blame. I'm not saying it's impossible that they're being monitored by somebody, but I think it's more likely that they're ending up being so paranoid that they're monitoring each other. I honestly think that this has the influence of Steve Bannon all over it. It's not like Breitbart doesn't dabble in conspiracy theories. It's not like InfoWars doesn't have a direct line to the president. They do. They come up with these conspiracy theories. It gets into Trump's ear. It gets into Bannon's ear, obviously. And they spread this. They have this culture, this toxic culture that permeates and trickles down from the top. And it comes from people like him, like Alex Jones, like Steve Bannon, who don't trust anybody. Remember, the guy who has the ear of the president thinks that the aliens are coming for us. They're working with Satan. You've got to be kidding me. He thinks everything is a conspiracy. And we have a president who believes it. You know where the story of the hacking came from? Or the wiretap came from? It came from Breitbart. It came from InfoWars. There's no proof of any of this. There's no proof of any of it. Nothing. And they're continuing to spread these conspiracy theories, and they're creating a toxic environment of conspiracy. Unsustainable. Unsustainable. It's amazing that this White House hasn't folded in upon himself by now. You know what? It's working on it. You cannot hold this for 4 years. You cannot hold this for 8 years. When is this house of cards going to fall over? When? And how much damage is it going to do when it happens? Those are the questions that I'm beginning to ask. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more like this, please hit the subscribe button below. And if you want to support truly independent progressive media, please consider becoming a patron at patreon.com/TYTNation.